Joe Zarzaur here with Tim Baldwin. Tim is a local lawyer with the Virga Law Firm, and Tim specializes in real estate issues, mainly representing management companies and landlords in regards to landlord-tenant law. But he's here today to talk about a little bit about what he does, first of all, and then we're going to sort of talk a little bit about injury cases associated with premises liability claims and landlord-tenant law. So if you could, Tim, just introduce yourself a little bit,
Sure.
Tell us about your firm and tell us what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Tim Baldwin. I'm from Pensacola and alma mater with Joe at Cumberland School of Law. I have a niche practice, you might say, with property management companies. I represent a lot of real estate companies, and I help them deal with their landlord-tenant issues and a lot of their contract issues in that side of the business. And so that's a large part of my clientele. But Virga Law Firm also handles a lot of other types of cases, family law probably being the primary area of law that they practice.
Great. And y'all's office is located where?
Pensacola down to Orlando. We have 6 offices.
Oh, great. What about the one here?
Pensacola is downtown on Garden Street, right down the road from me here.
I've seen it, just for everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll put y'all's web address underneath this video, so there'll be a link to that. And
yeah.
Maybe we can have some reciprocity there. So in any event, he specializes in drawing up the leases for a lot of the rental properties that people watching this video may end up signing or considering signing. And so I thought it'd be a good thing for him to be here to talk about, from the landlord point of view, what is a landlord trying to accomplish with a lease? What is their goal?
Well, in large part, it's a business document. They're trying to set the expectations of both parties, the rules and regulations, the rights and obligations of each party, and to be really as thorough as they can. Because as a lot of people have experienced, when you go into a lease or you live in a house, you may expect, well, I can just sort of do what I want, or this is my house, so to speak. But really, from the landlord's side of things, it's a business. And so it's a service they're providing, but it's also a product in the sense that they're providing. And so they're trying to set the parameters in which the tenants are to operate during the lease term.
All right. And how many tenants push back on lease language and say to the landlord, I don't like the way this reads, can you ask your lawyer to change this and change that? What percent of tenants do that?
Really small percentage. Yeah. I mean, it's like signing a contract sometimes with AT&T or something like that. There's not a lot of bargaining and leveraging power. You do see it every now and then, but typically that comes from lawyers who are renting the property.
Right. So for the most part, they're gonna the landlord or the homeowner or whoever's leasing the property is gonna dictate the terms of your lease. So it's really important that before you sign those leases, you look at it and you understand how it's going to affect you moving forward. Because once you sign that document, it's the controlling piece of paper between you and the landlord. And any court that is asked to mediate or arbitrate a dispute between you and the landlord, is the first thing they're going to ask for is, let me see the lease. What does the lease say about this situation?
That's right.
Yeah. So one of the things I thought that would be helpful to our viewership is also talking about the fact that these days AirBNB is a very popular way to rent properties.
Yeah.
These are short-term leases.
Right.
Mainly a lot of stuff that you're probably not doing. I guess you have some of these people that are doing Airbnbs or not?
Some, but mostly it's long-term what I deal with.
So, but Airbnb properties are vacation mainly properties. And what people are doing, obviously, is a platform to sell your vacation or to rent your vacation property. And where a lot of people are getting in trouble, just like the rideshare program, is that if you and I decided to take on a moonlighting job and become Uber or Lyft drivers at night, and we didn't tell our insurance company we were doing that. Mm-hmm. We just hung the little placard and started driving around, and we were involved in a wreck. As soon as the insurance company finds out you're doing that for Uber or Lyft, they cancel your policy. And they don't cover you for any claims that you have as a result of whatever you're involved in. So Airbnb is the same way with homeowners policies.
Yeah, you could lose your primary residence policy,
right.
Or it becomes a rental policy, a business commercial policy.
Right, right. So if you don't disclose to as a landlord, if you decide you're going to put it on the Airbnb market and you don't have the right type of insurance policy, commercial insurance policy to do that kind of renting, it will, and the house burns down for some reason, guess what?
Yeah.
you don't have any coverage.
Yeah,
for it.
you might lose coverage for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to point this out to all of the viewers and potential clients of my firm or his firm. If you get into the Airbnb thing, or you're doing Uber stuff, or any kind of ride sharing or home sharing program, make sure your insurance policy, your agent, or the company you bought the insurance from knows that you're doing those things, so that they can amend your policy to cover you for the instances where you rent the house out on Airbnb or VRBO, or you're using your car for the rideshare programs. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that, you know, if you get injured in somebody's house, just because Tim rents his house to me as a long-term tenant and I fall in his house and hurt myself, that doesn't make Tim automatically liable. In fact, he's probably not liable. Whoever the tenant was, me, if I created a dangerous condition, it's me first. In order to hold the landlord responsible, it has to be a common area, or it has to be something that the landlord remains responsible for, that's unreasonably dangerous, or that created an unreasonable hazard in the house. So I don't know if you deal with this very much. How many of your landlord tenants get sued?
Well, it happens.
For injuries.
It does happen every now and then, and it's typically a scenario where you know, it could be maybe, for example, electrical shock. The wiring was faulty. Potentially, if the tenant knew about it and notified the landlord, hey, we got a problem with this, and then they don't fix the problem, it could become, you know, a liable situation for the landlord.
For both of them.
Yeah, and but thankfully, a lot of my clients are pretty diligent in
Right.
keeping up good properties. So, but it does happen every once in a while.
Right. And the key in these cases is notice to either the tenant or the landlord about the dangerous condition, and then you look to the lease to see who's responsible for that area of the property. So in his example, if the tenant plugged in some weird surge protector device that was defective, that was theirs, into a perfectly working socket, right, and that caused somebody to get hurt inside the unit, well, that would be more of a tenant problem, unless the landlord did an inspection and saw that there was a funky surge protector being used and knew that it had a dangerous, created a dangerous condition, then you could hold the landlord responsible. So these become complex issues that some of the leases don't obviously plan for everything, but they plan for most things.
Let's not forget the manufacturer of the
And the
product,
manufacturer, yeah,
potentially.
Product's case on
Yeah.
top of that, depending on how bad the injury is.
Yeah.
So if you have landlord-tenant questions, or his firm also handles family law stuff, please look them up, check their website out, and see if there's a lawyer that suits your needs there. Tim obviously has a specialty and a niche practice in this landlord-tenant stuff. So if you're a landlord or you own a house and you're thinking about renting it out to a long-term tenant, you need a lease, or you need to pay a lawyer to consult with them about what you can and can't do, I'd look Tim up at the Virga Law Firm. Again, we'll put the website down here for you to reference. And if you have any injury questions related to Airbnb, or heck, Uber for that matter, or any landlord-tenant premises liability questions associated with an injury, you can call us at 855-HIRE-JOE or on the web at zarzaurlaw.com. Thank you.